So today we had the Winter Classic. Now, I mentioned to people last night that I wasn't going to be able to see it. Um, the game had already started before I left for the movie. We went and watched a movie, and they have one every year. And I'm more cynical than others about it. If you look at here's the attendance over the 10 years. So 71,000, 40,000, 38, 68, 46, 105, 42, 67, 46, 41. It's a lot of people. The other thing that I always found weird is that all of these people have to be there for the experience of it. There's no rink side. So there's no way people up in the upper levels can see the game. So this is all the experience. The other thing that stands out to me too is the temperature. So this is Fahrenheit, this is Celsius. 33, 32, 35, 50, 41, 13, 37, 41, 37. Now, I couldn't find anything on the NHL site. Couldn't find anything on the Winter Classic site. I couldn't find anything in any articles. So I looked up the temperature in Queens, New York right now, and it's 16 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 9 Celsius. And every report just says frigid. It's frigid cold. So today's Winter Classic, by my score, is the second coldest after the one in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where they had 105,000 people in the cold to watch Toronto beat Detroit in a shootout 3-2. The interesting thing to me is, so this is just Winter Classics. So if you're saying, what about these outdoor games? Yeah, there's a lot of outdoor games. You have your Stadium Series outdoor games. Part of the reason I'm cynical is because this isn't all they do. They have to do their Stadium Series, and they have to keep adding on more and more Winter Classics and more. But they call them something else, Heritage Classics, which is what we have with Montreal and Ottawa. And it turns out to be a cash grab. It's essentially what it is. Um, my biggest concern has always been, a player safety thing, which is okay here. I always find it funny. You're watching on TV, and the announcers will always say this. Oh, I don't know about them playing outside. Oh, it's windy, and that's going to have a really bad effect on them. And I'm thinking, really? Because every single bloody player in this game should have played one game outside as a kid. One game outside, at least one. Some are going to be from warm weather locations, and maybe they didn't grow up playing hockey on the river. But part of the advantage that kids back east have over kids, especially in the lower mainland in BC, you can do that. Remember, my aunt moved out from Halifax, and she told my mother at one point she was really happy about the house they found to rent because I had a really big backyard, and she'd be able to flood the backyard and use it as a skating rink. To which my mother told her she was crazy because it doesn't get cold enough and that was in Chilliwack. It doesn't get cold enough long enough to actually make a skating rink, and it never does. Even in Abbotsford, we had an ice storm a few days ago. There's ice all over all the trees. There's no way you could actually make an outdoor skating rink and have it work. It's not going to work. So, for a lot of the players in these games, they likely grew up playing on backyard rinks. It's in every Tim Hortons commercial. It's in every Bridgestone commercial in the winter. It just seems like commercials go, "Hey, remember when you played outside?" The fact these games are played outside is a benefit. Players love it. I've never heard anything from anybody saying, "Oh, I hated that outdoor game. I wish we didn't have it. I don't know why we play these Winter Classics." The results are always interesting to me. So you've got a 1 goal difference here, 2 goals, 1-2, 1-1, 1-4-3, 1. They're usually close games. Some of what happens with these games is because they're colder than what you have in a regular arena. I mean, the only game that was 10 degrees was the one in Pittsburgh in 2011, which was freakishly warm. Pretty sure that's the game where uh, Sidney Crosby got hurt. Sidney Crosby got a concussion in this game right here between Washington and Pittsburgh. So that's what that game was known for, which is too bad because it was actually a pretty damn good game, as I remember it. And Washington won it. But outside of this one, that's 10 degrees, which is right about where your average arena is near ice level. They've been cold. But again, players are used to this. This -9, once players are skating, and it's funny because, we take the boys to play hockey on Wednesdays, and one complaint that we hear when we get into the rink is it's cold. Like, that's for the ice. It has to be cold. I'm like, oh, I'm so cold. And I'm like, you know what'll help? Get your skates on and go out and skate. As soon as you start skating, you warm right up. I know I used to do that when I was a kid too. We'd go to, whether it was Twin Rinks or it was the Coliseum downtown in Chilliwack. I'd bundle up because it was cold. I'd get out on the ice, and after about 3 or 4 laps around the rink, jackets off. I've probably still got the gloves on, but that's just in case I do a face plant and I don't want to be, scratching myself on scratches on the ice. And, I wasn't cold. So when I tell the boys, go skate, I know what I'm talking about. Once hockey players get to skating and they're in the game, the cold doesn't really affect them as much. It does affect the puck. Not in this game because it was a heritage game, but in the game between Montreal and Ottawa that we had about, what was it, 3 weeks ago, a month ago? The puck was noticeably bouncing and it was really frozen. It's made to be frozen. I get that. It's vulcanized rubber. So when a puck is that frozen, it does make a difference to the game. And then there's a part you don't think about, like ice is ice, right? It's frozen. Well, no, if it gets too cold, then it gets really brittle and it can break. There are those concerns, but that's more for the guys running the game than for the guys playing it. I mean, you don't want to be skating over a crack in the ice because it started to shatter. Get that, but from all I've read about the game, it was a great game. From the highlights I've seen, it was a great game. They almost always are. But again, the cynic in me says, they have these every year, and the word cash grab comes up because you look at the amount of people that they get in that stadium, and it's 2 times what they're going to get in for a regular game. The other thing is, and people are always asking me, well, when is this location going to get a game? And usually a warmer weather location. In these games, with the exception of Pittsburgh, it's always below 10 degrees. It's easy to get that rink ready. When it's above 10 degrees, and if it's a warm weather location, getting the rink ready and having it work for hockey is a challenge. Keeping that ice cold and keeping it in good shape. I know even during the playoffs when you're in the rinks, some of these southern teams, when it's really, really hot out, the ice is crap in the rink. I can't imagine the nightmare it would be if you had a game in Florida. You have a game, and even I think the warmest game we've seen outdoors was one in Anaheim that was 17 degrees. It was remarkable how well that game was played considering it was 17 degrees Celsius out, which is 60, I think it was 62 or 63 Fahrenheit. Like, people ask me, well, when's Vancouver going to get a Heritage Classic? They won't. Vancouver had the one outdoor game, which was against Ottawa. They held it in BC Place, which is an arena with a roof. And then they closed the roof because it was raining out, which is your problem with Vancouver. It's always raining. So the idea of holding a Winter Classic game in Vancouver just isn't going to work. You can hold a hockey game in the snow, and hockey in the snow looks fantastic. It really does. That's the way it's supposed to be. Hockey in the snow, absolutely, because that's where the game was born. Outdoors, on the ice, and in the snow. But in the rain, that's just a non-starter. That absolutely does not work. And that's why when people ask, well, why do these cities keep getting it? Because they're cold. And they're right in that sweet spot where it's a cold enough temperature that you can pour ice and you can keep the ice, in good shape. It's not so cold for the most part. Most of these games, it's not so cold that people in the stands are going to be really uncomfortable. It's not Winnipeg cold or Edmonton cold. And in Edmonton, the last few weeks, you've seen how Edmonton cold gets, which is minus 18 is the hottest it gets in the last 3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks, the highest they've got is minus 18. But that's why these cities get it. And you'll notice, too, there's no Canadian Winter Classic. The Winter Classic is basically, it's American in the way that it's presented and the way that it's done. And it's a gimmick. It's absolutely a gimmick. It's a gimmick that's worked. That's why we have Heritage Classics and Stadium Series. Part of my issue with it, too, is this. It does take some of the special away in that we just had one in Ottawa. Now, today we had one in Queens, New York. And then in March, we're going to have a Stadium Series game. I think it said Washington and Toronto. In March? Could be kind of warm in March. That could make for an interesting game, but that's Stadium Series. Stadium Series, they've had some warm games. So, the reason I bring this up is simple. what do you guys think of Winter Classics? Um, do you think they should try having a Winter Classic in Winnipeg, in that cold? Would you like to see them do something else with them? Is there too many? Is there not enough? And I'm talking about not just obviously this, but when you get into the Stadium Series and the Heritage, is there too much? To me, it doesn't make the game any worse, but I don't look forward to Heritage Classics any more than anything else. I don't find myself watching a Heritage Classic game with more interest than a regular standard game. Once you get over that, wow, that looks cool feeling, it's just, to me, it feels like, oh, it's cold weather and they want me to buy more jerseys. And neither of the jerseys that were worn today are ones I'm going to buy. Just have no reason to. I have 3 different Buffalo ones that are basically the one they wore today is an amalgamation of the 3 of them. And the Rangers one I didn't like. So let me know what you guys think. I realized the Rangers won, and I could get into analyzing that game. Grabner with another goal. I'm thinking about doing a Michael Grabner video. That's where we're at. But I just wanted to look at this game in relation to all of the other Winter Classics as it was the 10th. In the 11th year, because the one in 2013 canceled due to a lockout. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thanks for watching. Ow. Don't slip off. Okay? Don't slip off and then decide you're going to claw me to stay on. That's not fun. You owe me an apology. Am I going to get an apology? Do I get an apology? It doesn't look like I'm getting an apology. I'm just getting a dirty look. Do I get an apology? No? All right. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.